recording. All right, so we are starting week 3 of Unit 5, and this unit is all about inventions and who invented them. So we're going to learn a lot about different people who had these grand ideas to make our lives easier and better. So I am going to share our screen with our lesson. Let me get rid of this and get rid of this. Okay, let's go back up here from beginning. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you can see great inventions. Can we all see great inventions? Awesome. So we're going to start with day 1 today, and we're really going to think about what inventions do we know about and how are they making our lives easier. So on this first page, it shows us some inventions that we use in our lives, like sneakers and the light bulb, and this is a virtual reality thing that you can put on your head. And these are earbuds that are wireless, which are really cool, so that you don't have to have that long wire hanging down. And then up here, this one, I believe it's like an Alexa or a Google thing where you can talk to it and say, hey, Alexa, play music. And I bet my Alexa is going to turn on right now. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it didn't hear me. But I mean, it's pretty neat that we can just talk to everybody in our house. Like we can talk to this little device that will do whatever we want, which is really neat. So inventions have started a long time ago. Like there are many things in our house that were invented a long time ago, but people have made them better and better throughout the years. So let's skip our weekly opener, and we're going to go right to learning about the first person who invented the telephone. And his name is Alexander Graham Bell. Would anybody like to read this page? Lily. His name is Alexander Graham Bell.
Alexander Graham Bell invented the first telephone.
Good. Now look at the telephone that he invented. It surely doesn't look like the telephones that we use today. Who would like to read about the first camera? Do I have a volunteer? Ellie?
Did you know the first camera? Wait. Did you know the first camera were made out of wood?
Yeah. Whoops. I'm sorry about that. If you look at that first camera, I mean, it looks nothing like what we use. In fact, most of us don't even use real cameras anymore. We just use the cameras on our phone. Things have evolved so much. When I was young, we had cameras where you had to put film in them. And then when you were done taking pictures, you take the film out and send it to Kmart or to Walmart, and then you would have to wait for them to develop the film. I mean, life has changed so much just in a matter of a few years, like 10, 20 years. Okay, who would like to read this page? JC? Oh, hold on, JC.
How did people carry something to drink before juice boxes were invented?
Yeah, there wasn't juice boxes when like my family, my mom and dad were growing up. They probably just put their juice in cups. All right, and who would like to read about the light bulb? I can read about it. It says compact fluorescent light bulbs were invented to save energy. So a lot of our light bulbs look like this these days, but that's not what the first light bulb looked like. So here are just some other examples of inventions that were either created or that could be created in the future. I think it would be pretty neat to have a robot shop for me. And that way it would keep us a lot safer in the stores. You wouldn't have to go in the stores and the robot yeah, that would be cool. The robot could shop for us. All right, so we're going to talk about a few vocabulary words before we read a nonfiction story. Who knows what this word is? Please raise your hand. Ellie? Good.
Curious.
Curious. Can you read what that means?
If you are curious about something, you are interested in
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
it, want to know more about it. I was curious about whales, so I read a book about them. What might a curious cat do when it sees?
I don't know what that says, when it sees something on the floor. So what would a curious cat do? Like, if it sees like a piece of cheese on the floor, what might it do?
Look at it.
Maybe look at it, maybe go up and lick it. Maybe
Yeah, my
sniff
cats are
Those orcas are adorable.
look at it and they're like,
it. Okay. Who wants to read this word? Who knows what this word is? Lily, do you know what this word is? Oh, it looks like, hold on. Lily, do you know what that word is? It's improve.
Improve.
Can you read what it means to improve something?
To improve is to make something better. Adding cheese with improve the flavor of this dish. What do you think would improve our classroom?
Well, that's a hard question to ask because we're not even in our classroom. I know that if we were in our classroom, it would make our classroom much better. So that would improve our classroom. But let's pretend we were in our classroom. What would improve our classroom? Ellie?
by having a class pet.
Oh yeah, what kind of class pet would you like?
A guinea pig.
A guinea pig, yeah, that would be cool. JC, what else would improve our classroom?
Pet being a butterfly.
A butterfly? That would be cool. Lily, what else would improve our classroom? Sorry, go ahead.
Making it bigger.
Oh yeah, making it bigger. Definitely having more storage, that would improve it if we were there. Anybody else want to share what would improve our classroom? Okay, let's move on to the next word, hopefully. Okay, who knows what that word is? Svetlana, do you want to read that word for me?
Idea.
Can you read what an idea is?
An idea is a picture of what you get in your mind. I have an idea of what to give him for a birthday present. What is an idea you have for a fun school field trip?
So this is another hard question to answer because unfortunately we won't be able to attend our field trip to the zoo this year, which is really sad. But if you got to pick where you wanted to go for a field trip, where might that place be? Where would you like to go? Does anybody have an idea? Lily?
I don't know what it's called.
Is it something in Erie?
Yeah.
The Children's Museum?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. Ellie, where would you like to go?
I want to go to Waldameer.
I do too, and I really hope that they open this summer. I'm gonna be awfully sad if they don't. All right, let's move on. And the last word is unusual. If something is unusual, it is common, it is not common. So the cat had very unusual eyes. There are many things in this world that you might see that are unusual. Can anybody think of something in this world that is unusual? Ellie?
Well, my mom and dad said if 3 pets were enough, but then we got a fourth, but then that fourth died, and then we got 2 guinea pigs. So
That's unusual to have that many pets, maybe.
yeah, and they said 3 was enough pets for us.
But now you have 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Svetlana, what else is something unusual in this world?
That a dog could have 2 different eye colors.
Yeah, and there's people that have 2 different eye colors too. That's very unusual. Very good. All right, JC, what else could be unusual?
Having a cat that has one color in the one eye and then a different color in the same eye. That would
Yeah.
be weird.
That would be weird. I'm gonna unmute everyone because I want you all to read these high frequency words with me. Lily, did you have something else that would be unusual?
Yeah.
What's that?
The virus.
The virus. Yes, this is very unusual for us to be learning like this. This is my 15th year teaching first grade, and I've never had to do this before. So you guys should feel very special that you get to be in first grade with me on Zoom, which is crazy. But anyways, let's look at these high frequency words. I'm gonna say it and I want you to repeat it. Are you ready? Began.
Begin.
Yeah, thank you, Lily. Everyone else should repeat it too. Let's say it again. Began.
Begin.
Better.
Better.
Guess.
Yes.
Learn.
Learn.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
Sure.
Idea.
Idea.
And unusual.
Unusual.
And those were 2 of our vocabulary words as well. All right, I'm going to read you a nonfiction story about 4 different inventions that we still use in our world today. Now, because it's nonfiction, you're reading it to learn. So make sure that you can follow along. And when I ask you questions, you should be able to answer them because there's going to be evidence in the text to provide your answers for you. So please listen to the first page. This is called Great Inventions. You use inventions all the time. An invention is something new. Inventors are curious people. They figure out how to solve problems. An inventor can imagine a new thing that will help make people's lives easier. What would life be like without telephones? People used to communicate by sending letters. If the letter was going far away, that meant it could take weeks to get important news. People also sent coded messages called telegrams. Telegrams came quickly, but you had to learn a special code to send them. Over 100 years ago, Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. It carried people's voices to faraway places. Soon, people could make calls from their homes and jobs. They could share news, make plans, order goods, and much more. But people needed to call from other places too. New inventors made cell phones that could call from anywhere. Today, cell phones can also send text messages and help you go online. At the beginning, in the first paragraph, it gave us some evidence to describe the type of people inventors are. Can anybody find a word that describes the type of person an inventor is in the first paragraph? Ellie?
Well, they create new things.
They do. So an inventor creates something brand new. I see 2 words in the first paragraph that describe an inventor. Can anybody find one of those words? I believe it's highlighted. Does anybody see a highlighted word at the beginning? Ellie?
Just imagine.
Imagine and curious. So if you're curious about something, that means you're thinking really hard about how to make something better or how to change it. And inventors must have a really good imagination because they think of something that nobody else has ever thought of. Down in the 3rd paragraph, it tells us who invented the first telephone. Who remembers the name of the inventor of the first telephone? Casey?
Alexander.
Very good. Alexander Graham Bell. He invented that first telephone over 100 years ago. The next invention we're going to read about is the light bulb. How would you read at night if it weren't for electric light? The light bulb is another invention that changed the world. For many years, people used fire to make light. Burning wood, candles, and oil made a dim, smoky light. Lights that burned gas came next. Gas lights cost less and gave off more light, but they were dangerous. Breathing the gas made people sick. Gas lights sometimes caused fires too. Looks like Michael's trying to join us. Hi, Michael. Where are you, Michael? I thought Michael was coming. Is Michael here? Hi,
Oh,
Michael.
sure. Oh,
Okay.
yes. Hello, Michael.
So we're learning about different inventions. We're reading about the light bulb. So gas lights cost less and gave off more light, but they were dangerous. Breathing the gas made people sick. Gas lights sometimes caused fires too. People needed a bright, safe light. Then an inventor made street lights that used electric sparks. These were safer, but they didn't last long. People needed an electric light that would last a long time. In 1879, Thomas Edison found a way to make a light bulb that was both safe and long-lasting. His invention let people see at night while they worked, played, and studied. Today, inventors still work to improve the light bulb. The newest light bulbs give off less heat and less energy, and use less energy. And like Edison's light bulb, they last a long time. So at the beginning of that page, we talked about one of the first types of ways to get light, and it was called gas lights. But the author gave us evidence that told us why they were not a good idea and why they were dangerous. Can anybody share an example of why gas lights are dangerous? Svetlana?
The gas made people sick.
They made people sick. You could not breathe in the gas. Ellie, why else were they dangerous?
Because they could start fires in your house.
Yep, yes, definitely. So those were not a good idea. That in 1879, someone invented the first light bulb. Who knows the name of the inventor of the first light bulb? If you look down in the fourth paragraph, it tells us the name of the inventor. Who knows the name of the inventor? Ellie? Thomas Edison invented the first light bulb. The next invention we're going to learn about is the car and how they were able to make cars very quickly. Can you picture a world with no cars? The invention of cars changed the way people live. Long ago in America, most people traveled by foot, by horse, or by train. People who walked or rode horses could go anywhere, but travel was slow. Riding a train was faster, but people could only go where the trains went. In 1893, the first gasoline-powered car in America was invented. Now, people could drive anywhere there was a road. At first, cars were made slowly, one by one. The work was complicated. The cars cost a lot of money. Then, in the early 1900s, Henry Ford changed the way cars were made. He invented the assembly line to make cars. A person who is a part of an assembly line makes only one part of the car. Other workers make other parts of the car. The workers can do their work very quickly. Because Ford's assembly lines made cars quickly, his Model T cars were less expensive than other cars. Many people had enough money to purchase one of these cars. Now people could live in one place and drive to work someplace else. Many people still do this. Cars have let us travel far. Before we had cars, what were 3 different ways Americans traveled?
Walking.
Hold on. JC, say that again.
Walking.
Walking. What else, Michael?
By train.
By train. And Svetlana, what was the last way?
I forgot what I was going to say.
You forgot? Ellie, what else was a different way? By train, by foot, and by horse. Horse. So they started making the cars, but it was very slow and very complicated. Who was the man that invented the assembly line? Michael?
Thomas Henry Ford.
Henry Ford. And some of your parents might still have a car made by Ford. Okay, the last invention is the computer. Do you use a computer in class or at home? Yep, we're doing it right now. Computers help us in many ways. They help us to write and send messages. They help us to find information quickly. They help doctors know what is wrong with sick people. Who helped create this very useful machine? Computers did not just have one inventor. They had many. The first computers in America were used in 1940 and early 1950s. They were huge. They filled whole rooms at colleges and businesses. Inventors imagined that one day people would use computers in their homes. They looked for ways to make parts smaller and easier to use. They invented the microchip. This tiny device allowed computers to do more and take up less space. People could own personal computers. The first personal computers were heavy. Most stood on a desk or on a table in a person's home. Then inventors figured out how to make computers smaller and lighter. Laptop computers are easy to carry around. People continue to invent new computers and programs that let us use computers in new ways. It is a fun way to imagine what computers of the future might do. So how many of you are using a laptop right now? Raise your hand. I am. How many of you are maybe on an iPad or a phone?
I'm on an iPad.
Okay. So definitely technology has come a long way, especially with our computers. I mean, we can be on our phones and be on the internet at the same time. When I was growing up, I had a big honky computer on my desk. So it had the monitor and then it had something called the processor. And for me to get on the internet, you had to use dial-up. So you had to put in your name and password, and then all of these weird sounds would come up like, and it took like 5 minutes to get the internet on. It was crazy. And if somebody went on the telephone, they would knock you off the internet because you couldn't be on the telephone and the internet at the same time. So things definitely have come a long way, even since I was a kid. So in that story, we read about 4 different inventions. Let me go back. What was the first invention we read about? Michael?
Phones.
The telephone, and you weren't here to hear that, but we did learn that Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. What was the second invention, Ellie? Ellie, let's go with Eliana. What did we learn about next, Eliana?
Light bulb.
The light bulb. And remember, Thomas Edison came up with the first light bulb. And then what was the third invention, Svetlana? The car. And remember, Henry Ford invented the assembly line to help make cars faster. And then lastly, JC, what did we learn about?
Computers.
Computers, and we know computers have come a long way and they are very helpful in our world. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now and stop the recording.